Welcome back. The Immortal Podcast is here. Nemo and I are here with the Immortal Podcast, episode 18, and we're taking things from a different angle today, looking at what we think is actually wrong with Diablo Immortal, but we will quickly shift that as we get your questions in the chat, because this podcast, this show runs off of your questions. Hope you're all doing well today, and Nemo, I hope you're doing well as well. Brother, how you doing? What's going on?
I am fantastic. It's Sunday. We got the podcast. I was just playing Diablo Immortal. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. We've been doing a lot of grinding, right? We've been doing a lot of crazy stuff, so I'm pretty excited. Let's get started.
Yeah, let's definitely get started. And we had Nemo take a few minutes before the show and jot down a bunch of notes of things that we think maybe not the way we want to see them. I don't want to say wrong. I just want to say, possibly not what we're looking for in terms of Diablo Immortal. Some of these things you may have heard me talk about before on my channel. I'm sure Nemo's touched on some of them as well. But why don't we just start out? But before we do, guys, make sure you throw a like on this video. Let everyone on the socials know that we are live right now, because this live show comes at you guys once a week while we have the game in hands, every other week when the game is no longer going to be here. So make sure you come on through. And after this show, it's going to be live on the channel, on my YouTube channel, so that you can check it out in case you missed something, missed any of our topics. And of course, Nemo's channel is linked in the description of this video or live stream. So you should go check him out as well for his daily Diablo Immortal videos. So what's up to everyone over here on YouTube and Twitch? Nemo, bring us in to the first topic, the first thing that you think, or that we think, may be wrong with Diablo Immortal.
Sure. And of course, we keep in mind this is alpha, so they're testing and doing a bunch of stuff. And in this particular time when we were doing when we were focusing on what we were testing, it's the cycle of strife. So that's kind of what I wanted to start with. Some of the things that maybe both of us, Echo and myself, and some of the others in the community think they could be adjusted, and things that could be maybe changed, or maybe some things that are just wrong with the cycle in general. So one of the things that I think could be I'm going to say a negative, is the exclusivity of the cycle of strife, especially the exclusivity of the immortals. Like, it could be pretty tough for casual players to experience being immortal. And we're going to talk about immortality in general. It's one of the most beautiful things, right? I mean, the whole faction-based systems, and when you get into the immortals, it's amazing. It's one of my most favorite experiences when I was playing Kion's Ordeal and etc. But the only way to get in there is to be one of the 500, one of the exclusive 500 immortals. And how many players there are on a server? 20,000, 50,000. Out of that, how many can be immortal? Can you be immortal and be a casual player? That's my question to you, Echo. What do you think? You've played both sides, right? What do you think? Do you think casuals can experience immortality?
No, I don't think casuals are going to have the opportunity to experience that. And you mentioned it right there. I think that you touched on it well. Diablo Immortal, or I should say Blizzard, built this really great game mode, right? They built this mode that looks incredible, that makes you feel special, like you've actually accomplished something, and a nice system when you reach immortality. But it's something that's going to be really just for those 500 people, and not even, and this is where I think part of the problem is, not even the 500 most powerful people on the server. So it's not like you could just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to grind, I'm going to be one of the best, and I'm going to be guaranteed immortality. It doesn't exactly work that way, Nemo. So, this feature that really was built well and that's really incredible is only going to be experienced by a small number of people. Even if the immortals change, month after month, you get new immortals in there, at the end of the day, it's going to be a small percentage of people that actually are living inside of that server.
Yeah, it's going to be, and within the immortals too, right? There's a lot of activities that are cool. Like, I felt that the grind to immortality was amazing. Like, when we first got in and started playing, we were something called closed alpha. We have a server, right? The North American server that first started with just the content creators. So the immortals on the other side were NPCs. We didn't have access to the Hall of Ascension. We didn't really know what was on the other side. No one told us. Like, the development team, the Blizzard wasn't like, oh, this is what's going to happen. They're like, here, have fun, go play, turn the cycle. So we made some mistakes. There wasn't really a lot of clear rules. So as we pushed, like, we were really excited about immortality. Like, for me, I remember that feeling. Before I got there, I was like, I want to be immortal. I cannot wait to be immortal. It's so exciting. It feels like being part of the 500 is like godly, like you're like this amazing creature. And then when you get to the immortality, I felt a little disappointed, because even when you get to the 500, there's still certain activities when you are part of the immortals that only like the elites can participate in. The Kion's Ordeal, the 48 player raid, It's one of the main positive things that was part of this update, right? Like everyone's like, "Ooh, what is this? What is what is the cycle of strife?" Well, one of the things of the cycle of strife is the 48 player raid that everyone's really excited about. Guess what? Only 500 can even have an attempt to try, and out of those 500, only 48 can go because you have to be elite. You have to be an immortal elite in order to participate in Kion's ordeal. It's even more exclusive. It's one of my favorite things. I think it's like a really good event. So I'm kind of a little bummed that not a lot of people will be able to experience it. There's got to be something that we can do to like maybe do like a practice Kion's ordeal, like they have in the the Rite of Exile versus Battleground. Something to let others experience this. It's a really cool mode, man. I really like it.
Yeah, and I was one of those people when we heard, Blizzard mentioned 48 person raids. We were excited. Me being the PvP guy, I was stoked about it. I'm like, this is, or I mean, even though it's a lot of PvE as well, I was really excited about it. And then, as you said, 48 people out of 20,000 people in a server only are going to be able to engage in that. I don't know. It seems like a waste of resources, in my opinion. Not resources from the game, but resources over on the development team of Blizzard. Because if you have spent all of this time creating this incredible game mode, and then only 48 people is not a lot of people. Only that small number being able to experience that, it seems like it's just a little bit of a waste of their time to create something that was that incredible, is what I'm really trying to say. So, I don't know. But on top of that, the 48 people, remember we talked about rewards and things like that. People aren't all guaranteed those rewards, those legendaries, as I saw you running circle to circle trying to get those unlocks, coming out empty handed every single time, Nemo.
Yeah, that was another, that was another thing that I was a bit disappointed with, being part of the 500 and then being part of the elite and then participating in cans or deal and actually, beating it, right? Getting Diadessa's blessing and everything. There's only a chance that you get of actually getting any gear, which, I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. If you're being part of the 48 out of the 20,000 to 50,000 people, being the guardian, being the immortal, being someone who is literally in charge of protecting sanctuary from hell itself, I think I deserve a random legendary for you get a legendary for like killing an orange mob. Like when 90% of the time you get a legendary for defending in the Billifan's chest, which is a 4v4 at most. You should be able to get a legendary for beating a 48 player exclusive raid that's only available to 48 out of 20,000 people. Just saying.
So let me ask this, Nemo. At that stage of the game, if you are one of the top 48 elite best immortals, you're basically one of the better players inside of the game. How much does it matter if you get legendary gear at that stage of the game? I mean, at that point, you've probably already found all the gear that you want. So you found the pieces that are going to complement the skills that you want to use. You may have even unlocked all of the legendary gear at that point that's available. Obviously, more legendary gear can come around from time to time, but how important is it to actually grab that gear, and is it something that you're going to really even be worried about or upset about when the game's out, when you're already at that stage, when you already have all that stuff?
That's a very good point. You probably won't. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. That's a very solid point. You might just be playing it because of your duty,
Mm-hmm.
But that's not my main concern about it is the fact that not a lot of people are going to be able to play it. The gear, yeah, it's a side thing. It would be nice if everyone was guaranteed, but yeah, it's not a big deal. But the fact that it's not exclusive to, or it is exclusive just to 48, I wish it was available to everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I also don't love that when you're an immortal, and when I was an immortal, I felt like I did have a lot of duties inside of the game. It makes you feel like you have responsibility. As you mentioned, you're there to protect Sanctuary. You are the immortal. You do actually feel like you have a commitment that you have made to the other immortals inside of the game, to your team, and it becomes less of a game fun experience and more of a this is my responsibility. I need to get on and participate in these things. Not that that's a bad thing, especially for players that are going to be hardcore, going to be playing anyway and loving that. It's actually a good thing because you actually feel that what you need to do is important enough to be logging in and doing all that kind of stuff. But for people that are maybe on the fence, maybe they don't want to have to log in every day and spend hours in there every day. It could be a little bit much for those players. But with that being said, those players, Nemo, they're probably not going to be, they're not going to be immortals. They're going to be playing as either shadows, which seems to be a bit more casual to me, or adventurers where you have absolutely no responsibility, no obligations to anyone.
That's a very good point. The bottom line is to be one of the immortals, and that's kind of, you hit it on the nail sort of on the head. When you're immortal, it's not just about you. It's about the whole immortality. It's about the reign. It's about the leadership, and you contribute. You have to do certain things in order to for immortals to stay immortal and to gain more power in their reign, right? So you are like part of the machine, the immortal machine. You're part of the exclusive club. It almost feels like immortality is like its own little clan within the server, and to be in it, you have to just participate and pull your weight, basically. So yes, I agree with you. At the same sense, though, anybody who is a casual is not going to be able to contribute enough. Is not going to be able to do everything they need to do in order to stay immortal, in my opinion, because the leader has a lot of pressure on them, to stay immortal, and they need every immortal to do their dailies and to contribute in order to have enough ascension to run Kion's ordeal, in order to be able to progress in the reign and get more immortals in, get get perks and etc. Things like that. It's like the leader depends on the immortals. So like the leader needs the immortals and the immortals need the leader. It's kind of one of those.
Yeah.
On the shadows on the other side, it's very different. It's about you. You just can chill back a little bit and you don't even have to join a dark house if you don't want to. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like being the shadow because I prefer being a shadow, at least at this stage of the game. I like having my shadow contracts. It's essentially another bounty board reward that you're getting, but a bigger one, a little bit more in depth, a little bit better rewards. So it's another task for you to do every day, more rewards for you to be collecting. And I also like raiding the vault. Raiding the vault is obviously a ton of fun. I've done it a bunch with you, Nemo, and it's one of the game modes that I enjoy the most inside of Diablo Immortal. To do that, you have to be a shadow. But Nemo, let's move on to the next one, because I know we have a list of quite a few things that we think are wrong. And, obviously, this is the closed alpha. This is the time for things to be wrong inside of the game, because this is the time where things can be fixed. This is why we're here testing, so that we could figure out things that we don't like, that don't feel right, and that we could tell Blizzard about it, and they could decide if they want to make those changes, make some tweaks, so that it's a better experience for everyone once the game does come out. Remember, they don't just give us the game because they want to be nice so that we can actually get to play it. It's really because we're here to test it out for them. So what's next on the list, Nemo?
That is very true. Next thing on the list, actually, let's talk about the shadows, because we kind of ran into that subject anyway. So let's talk about some of the problems within the shadows itself and overall with the cycle, right? Since this is kind of the theme over here. So the shadows, it's really awesome to be a shadow. It's easier, right? But at the same time, it almost doesn't, it has loose ends, in my opinion. Kind of like things that don't make sense to me. So specifically in the competition part of the shadows. So when you are a shadow, your whole point, your purpose in life is to check the immortals and make sure that they're worthy, make sure that they can, do what they need to do to protect Sanctuary. And when they're not, you become immortal and just, kind of push them out of the way. Now, when you need to do that, you need to basically join a dark house. And then there's like a little bit of a leaderboard competition between the dark houses, because the top 10 dark houses, and the dark house is like a clan basically, but just for the shadows. The top 10 dark houses are competing because when the Rite of Exile happens, each one of those top 10 dark houses gets to send 8 of their shadows to go fight in the Rite of Exile. And the Rite of Exile is a fight between the shadows and the immortals, and this fight decides if the immortals stay immortal or they'll lose their power, and then, they're done, right? The cycle turns. That's the whole idea here. Now, the part that kind of doesn't make any sense to me, and this is what we'll start with first. You have a top 10 list of dark houses. Each one needs to send 8 shadows, and of overall majority of 5+ dark houses have to win in order to turn the cycle of strife. More dark houses have to win than the immortals, right? Because it is an overall kind of a battle. When that happens, only the first dark house is the one that becomes immortal. So at first, when you join a dark house or you create a dark house, you're competing with the other dark houses for the top 10 spot. Then when you become one of those top 10 dark houses, you go into the Rite of Exile and you fight the immortals. When you overall, as a group of top 10 dark houses, win, the top dark house becomes immortal. The leader of that dark house is the one that becomes the immortal himself, and then they get all the power. Everybody else just gets wiped out. Everybody else just gets erased. In other words, when the cycle turns, all of the rest of the shadows turn in their ranks. All of the dark houses get wiped out. All of the immortals, everybody turns back to adventurers, except for the number one dark house, the one that, sort of like won, right? They become immortals and they get all the power. So this is where my problems come in. Like, I don't understand this a little bit because you are competing against one another, but at the same time, you need one another to win. So I want to ask you a question, Echo. And I know this is a complicated subject. We'll probably spend 2 hours talking about it. But I'm a leader of the first dark house. You're a leader of the second dark house. We're about to go into the Rite of Exile. You know that if you beat the Rite of Exile, I'm going to win. No matter what happens, I'm going to be the immortal. So why would you try to win the Rite of Exile if you get absolutely nothing for it?
That's a very good point. What I think I would be more interested in is being your friend so that you could pull me along to be an immortal with you, to be honest with you. And that's where we talked about politics coming into the game. It's not only about your positioning, because if only one dark house could bring it in, and that leaves a whole bunch more spots for immortals that are chosen by the main person, which would be you in this case as the dark house leader. I mean, why would you compete unless if all of the dark houses truly believe that they could pull in that victory? But I mean, is it that clear? Is it clear as black and white if someone's going to be able to be the winner? If your dark house is the strongest, you as your dark house know that you're going to be able to win this. Does everyone else have as clear of a picture of it as you would, or is that something that they really are going to be able to feel like they can come in and win?
Right. And well, it's like I need you. And by you, I mean the other, let's say, 9 dark houses, if I'm the top spot, right? But at the same time, you don't really need me. And you don't really get anything for it. So I either need to cut deals with you and figure out, like, you know what, Echo, like you said, right? We're friends, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. You go in, you beat the Rite, you do your thing, and I'll make you immortal. But then, okay, then what's the point of competing if I'm cutting the deal? And I need 5 other dark houses. So I'm cutting a deal with half of the people that I'm competing with or against, or however you want to say it. What's the point, right? It doesn't. And on top of that, I'm going to present another deal to you. I'm going to present the complete opposite side to you. So let's say you're the top dark house and I'm number 2. Yeah, and let's say we're not friends, right? We just don't even know each other. I'm the shadow. When you're a shadow, you have a lot of perks. In fact, your perks are better than the immortals if you really think about it. You get extra damage and defense modifiers, 32% when you get to the highest shadow rank. On the immortals, whenever they get to the highest rank, they get 15 at most. So you're losing half of your bonuses, if you really think about it, when you turn from shadow to immortal. So I'm the number 2 dark house. Why would I do that? Why would I go in? I would lose everything that I have, lose all of my bonuses, completely wipe out my dark house, everything that I worked for. All because when you get a dark house, you also, like, as you progress it, there's a focus that you can set. And every time you move up the focus and progress the dark house, there's extra bonuses you get to pick. And some of them are really nice. Like, some of the bonuses are extra damage against guardians in the vault, so it's easier to fight. Some of them are PvP focused. Like, we have a bonus in our dark house that gives us extra 3% damage against immortals, an extra 3% defense just for being in the dark house. So on top of the 32% that we get as a shadow, we get 3 on top. So it's 35%. That's 20 more than the immortals could ever even dream of achieving. So I am number 2 dark house. Why in the hell would I go into the Rite and try to win when I'm going to lose everything and then have to beg you, pretty much, hey, can I have a spot on the immortals? You're going to say no. I'm going to wipe out. I have to start from the beginning. I'm going in and I'm gonna throw the fight. I'm gonna lose because it doesn't make any sense for me to do this as a number 2 dark house. And 3 and 4 and all the way down. That's gonna be an issue, I feel like. Not only politics, but it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, but I mean, in the beginning at least, it's going to be the illusion of being an immortal, how great that would be. For people that maybe don't watch content to see things ahead of time and are just inside of the game. I mean, we were there too, Nemo. We were saying we want to be an immortal. We want to be, the top tier inside of the game. It's a very different story right now from what we're seeing. And, as you were just listening to you, it's not as dreamy as we thought it was initially. So you're going to have that illusion, or players are going to have that illusion when they come in. Everyone's going to want to be an immortal and run that server and protect Sanctuary and be that hero. And then they're going to get there and realize that some of this stuff is not as dreamy and beautiful as they thought it would be. And I mean, we've seen a bunch of people dropping back down to the shadows as well, just already in the closed alpha. So, I mean, obviously tweaks can be made here. They're pretty easy to be made as well. how do you make the like what could be done to make the immortals more desirable to be there, to where you would want to fight to get there, and how could they fix one dark house being in control of all of the immortals in the server? I mean, I think that's a problem.
It's a really tough question, and one of the things I always kind of go back on is the fact that we're not developers. It's a tough job being them. So I'm very good at presenting problems. I'm not very good at fixing them, and I shouldn't, because that's not really my job, right? I mean, maybe don't allow the dark houses to get wiped out. There's got to be something to do, or some sort of an incentive on both sides, right? The immortals. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be the competition part of it, the 500 people in the server, and once there's a lot more people, it's going to get to a full. We're experiencing it because we have some small numbers. It might be a bit different, right? But at the end of the day, though, this when the cycle does turn, this is what's going to happen, and there aren't really some incentives. Like for me, the problem is the whole competition for the top 10 dark houses. I just don't understand what would be the reason for me to actually go in and try to win the Rite of Exile. I mean, I love the whole idea, right? We have how can I put this? we we're a keeper's descendants. That is what we're here to do. That is our purpose for existence as a shadow, was to do this as a system of checks. But the politics get involved and all the rest of the stuff gets involved. You forget about that, and I don't know. To me, that's a problem. I being number two dark house, I don't see a reason why I want to go in and win. So unless I know you and I'm trying to help you and we cut a deal together, and yeah,
Yeah, enter politics. I get it. I want to look over here on Twitch really quickly because we have Red October, Echo Hack, Dread Scythe in there with some comments and questions. So Red October says, should leaders of the Dark House that overturn the Immortals be pulled into the Immortals after Rite of Exile? What are your thoughts on that?
I was thinking of maybe it would be a cool idea to have all the top 10 dark houses be in the immortals somehow. I know there's only 500 immortals, and then when you have dark houses that are 80 plus, it doesn't make any sense mathematically speaking. But I think maybe the top 5 dark houses, like at least half of the leaderboards, and maybe the 4 leaders of the other dark houses become the lieutenants. So like the leader of the top dark house becomes the immortal himself, and then 4 lieutenants underneath of him or her are the leaders of the other dark houses, and then maybe everyone becomes immortal from the top 5. Like, that would make sense, and mathematically would probably work. Something like that, I feel like, but not the top one. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and Dread Scythe answers to him in the chat here, saying that would just be as much, if not more, political, because the members of each dark house could revolt and leave or not participate. I mean, what about doing something just as simple? And I don't know, this could be wrong, but the top dark houses are all the ones that become immortals. No politics, no saying you can come and be an immortal, or maybe, I mean, the top however many dark houses become immortals. That would make you want to fight to be one of the top dark houses, because there is no, no politics, no top dark house winning and then choosing all the other players. And if we just had the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dark houses moving on up to immortals, I see that there would be communication issues because all of those people don't know one another. But at the end of the day, if one dark house wins, do they really know all the 500 people that are going to be immortals with them? I would guess to say no, they don't, unless if they are some type of a content creator that has a massive following or something like that, which is not going to be the case in the majority of the servers that we're looking at.
True. It almost feels like, well, to me, it feels like if you're going to be in this fight together as a group of dark houses, maybe it would be a good idea, like you said, to get at least half. You need half in order to turn the right. So I feel like the half that you need is who should become immortal, right? At least, because at that point there is no back end deals. You need each other, but you're also all going to become immortal. So there's no like back end politics and etc. And the ones that don't make it in those top, maybe those those don't become immortal, or maybe have an invite later or something like that. But that would probably work, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, so a few things here from YouTube. We have Kevin saying he's confused. There's so much going on at once, and I completely agree. There's a lot going on inside of Diablo Immortal. This is not just a small game with just going through the campaign, beating demons, and running rifts. There's a lot more behind it. So then to tag on to that question, it actually came before. It's Eddie saying he won't have time for all of this anyway. He's a shadow now, and he's having enough fun doing the daily contracts and the bounty boards every single day. So this is what we're trying to say here, that everyone doesn't need to participate in this crazy end game stuff, because it can be political, it can be time consuming, and it can be maybe a little overbearing for certain players. So I actually love, and we're talking about things that we think maybe need to be fixed or that are not perfect right now, but I love that you get to choose how you play Diablo Immortal, because you could say, this is all too much. I just want to log in an hour a day, slay some demons, and upgrade my hero. And you could totally do that as either an adventurer or as a shadow. The only time when you're going to be, I'm going to say burdened, although that's probably the wrong word, the only time that you're going to actually have responsibilities that you're going to really feel obligated to do is if you become an immortal. And that is something that you have to like work to do. It's not something that just happens. You're going to have to try to become an immortal. You're going to have to make connections to become an immortal if you're not in the top dark house. So really, if you're someone that doesn't want to be participating in some of this mayhem that's going on inside of the servers, you really don't have to. And you could enjoy the game on a different level. And that, although we're talking about things that we need to be fixed, I think that is a great feature inside of Diablo Immortal.
Agreed. And you know, on top of that, being an adventurer, you do get a boost that a lot of the shadows and the immortals don't get. That is where another problem right now that probably needs to be fixed. So basically, when you're an adventurer, you get extra boost in scoria. You're able to get more scoria when you get to when you go get it from the honor merchant. And now there's another update that came in. You get scoria just for doing bounties. Long story short, you need scoria to upgrade your Heliquary, and you need the Heliquary in order to get to the next boss and boost your offensive defensive ratings and get other cool things. When you slot the Heliquary trophies of the bosses that you kill, you get like extra cool rewards like attack speeds and challenge rifts and things like that. So I can see the Heliquary being another piece of equipment or another choice that you'll have to make. Multiple choices, because right now there's 4 slots in the Heliquary. So eventually, once you get up high enough in the Heliquary, you get enough bosses, and they're saying that we're going to get 1 a month when the game releases. You'll have all of these choices that you'll be making, all of these trophies that you'll be slotting into the Heliquary for extra bonuses for activities that you're doing. So in other words, it's an extra layer of building that you'll be doing for your character. What's awesome about this is an adventurer gets a boost because they're able to get to the Heliquary faster than everybody else. On top of that, they get a boost in the offensive and defensive rating as well. This is like a system that will allow and kind of help the people who are not playing in the cycle of strife, which is great because it boosts the adventurers, right? It gives you, in other words, like when this system got implemented, half of the immortals quit being an immortal and they went to be an adventurer because it makes more sense. Now, here comes the problem though, right now, and this will be fixed, I'm sure, but right now you can jump out of the immortals, go do your stuff as an adventurer, get the scoria, and then get back into the immortals. So that's what kind of people are doing right now. They're kind of cheating the system a little bit. So we have some feedback back into the development team to maybe implement some sort of cooldowns to not allow people to get back into the immortals or the well, the thing with the shadows is you actually, once you join the shadows, you can't leave right now.
Yeah.
But once you become a shadow, you're a shadow. Not only can you not leave the shadows, the only way to leave the shadows right now is to actually turn the cycle and overthrow the immortals. That's what we're going to try to do to get out of being a shadow, but that's what you need to do. Like with the immortals, you can just quit, be like, peace out.
Yeah,
that's it.
It seems backwards. As an immortal, you should be, stuck kind of because you're there to defend, where shadows, you're the one that's actually kind of stuck. But yeah, good points. Actually, I actually like how it is here that the adventurers are going to be able to get that extra scoria, because the Heliquary is an event that players that are even more casual can really enjoy. So giving an incentive for people that are those casual players to still be able to participate in at maybe a higher level of that event, I think it's a good thing. Now we have an interesting idea. We have Christian, I'm sorry, saying it seems that being an immortal is more about the fame and getting immortalized in the halls of fame, while being a shadow gets more bonuses, but really no one's going to remember anyone or know anyone if you are a shadow. So, I mean, really, we're only talking about the top few people being an immortal that are going to be immortalized in the halls of fame. But, I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, we're talking about 5 people.
Yeah.
5 out of 50,000 that will possibly get there. And it's going to be a journey to try to get there as well. So I feel like, yeah, but they almost deserve it, if you're going to go that far. Plus, the thing is, see, immortality, like for me, the more I play Diablo Immortal, the more I play the cycle of strife. At first, I thought they were godly. Then I thought this was the most awesome thing to do. And to become immortal is you get the best gear and all the best rewards. You get this awesome statue. You become like the king, right? But it's not about that. As always in leadership, you'll notice that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to do. And I said this before, I don't feel like the Immortal himself is going to be the top player in the server. You're not going to have enough time to grind. The Immortal is all about, well, the Immortals, right? You're going to have to bring people together. You're going to have to coordinate. You're going to have to make sure that, again, all of the politics that gets involved within the Immortals, you're going to have to settle problems and issues. There's going to be a lot of that. You'll be doing the coordinating and the leading. You're going to be the representative for Kion. That's your job as the Immortal when you wear the crown. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is bringing the server together, because it is up to you. The Immortals will be either toxic and completely crazy and the whole reign will fall because the shadows will overthrow you, or the Immortals will be the strongest group of the 500 people that are all kept together by one leader. That one leader cannot be selfish. That one leader can be the top player. He's not going to have enough time to do all of that. He's going to need top players with him or her to be able to help and to defend, because there's going to be a lot of that involved. But at the end of the day, I feel like high level, that's really what it's about. So when you're a leader of the Immortals, you are there because you have a duty. You're there to protect sanctuaries. That's kind of what I feel like immortality is about. It's really not about the rewards. It's about, what you have to do. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, your responsibility, of course. And what that can lead to, as it leads to in other types of games as well, when you have that kind of responsibility, is player burnout, right? You may have a player that you really don't get to have as much time enjoying the casual fun elements of the game because you have that duty. You are responsible for all of these Immortals and for keeping Sanctuary safe. So really, we could see player burnout. I mean, I see it all the time in the kingdom builder games like Rise of Kingdoms. We even see it all the time for leaders in Clash of Clans, people that have to run wars, run clans, organize all that stuff. Look at this, 2 treasure goblins at one time on my screen. You seeing that, Nemo? It's,
yeah, nice.
It's not a common thing. I mean, casual stuff right here. But Heliquary can be ran on different difficulties, asks Kevin Fisher.
It's not about the difficulties. But Heliquary is about the offensive and defensive rating of the boss versus yourself. In fact, that you get like when you are not a high enough level, when you don't have good enough stats. And it's not about the skill, it's about the stats. When you don't have good enough stats, you'll show up. There'll be a big red thing on the bottom that says the monsters are more difficult in this area. And then you're gonna get insta die. It's exactly what happened to me. I showed up, I was like, oh cool, the stop, die. Like before I even said the word, die. Because my offensive defensive rating wasn't high enough. So once you get it up to a right level, think of the Heliquary as a benchmark system. That's the best way to put it. It's a benchmark against yourself. You're going to go and continually go to this boss, and eventually, once you get high enough, you'll be able to play and beat him. But there'll be like many times where you're just going to die. So that's kind of how the Heliquary works.
Yep, makes sense. And before we get into this comment made by Dreadscythe, which I want to get into, I want to remind you guys that we're about halfway through the show. Any questions, even if they're off topic, even not on Diablo Immortal topic, or talking about different things related to Diablo Immortal, now's the time to kind of get those questions in so we can adjust what we're talking about moving forward. But I do want to say, we were talking about the casual players and how they get incentives, and Dreadscythe says, casual getting an incentive to stay casual is not good. The game revolves around the cycle of strife. Anything that interferes with that or short circuits that needs to be fixed. Scoria from Honor Merchant and bonus chests need to be removed. So he's saying that this game revolves around this entire system, that the casual players should not be getting any incentive for remaining casual. And I guess the question that brings up is, for people that are casual players that really are not spending a ton of time in the game, would they care, or would they even know the difference if they weren't getting that scoria bonus? I would get to say that many of them wouldn't even realize the advantage that they were getting with the scoria, because they're casual players. They don't even know what that advantage would be.
It's an interesting question. So I do think that the scoria probably should be removed from the merchant. I don't like the buying of the scoria. I don't really like. And I didn't really like that from the start, to be honest with you, because it's just odd to me. It doesn't make any sense with progress. But I'm not sure. That's a good question. So you do have to offer something to the adventurer. What's the point of being an adventurer then? You know what I mean? Like there should be something that is offered to the PvE player, because the cycle of strife, it is PvPE, PvP and PvE. So it's PvPE if you really think about it. But it's focused. Can you say that 5 times? But it's focused on PvP. That's what ends up happening. When you go into the Raid of Vault, it's PvE at first, but then I'll trigger the alarm, and then Echo Hack will come in there. with his Crusader and a bunch of other folks, and it's going to become a PvP event. So it is focused on PvP. What about all the folks that don't want to play PvP? Because let's take a look at that, because a lot of Diablo players are not PvP focused. I mean, the ones that I talk to say, I don't care about PvP. I just want to play my good build and do my thing in PvE, which is what the Heliquary is.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I think is going to happen here. All of the high-end players like Dread Scythe, lifetime, Diablo players that play it to the fullest of its potential, are going to feel that way. That adventurers and casual players shouldn't be getting that kind of bonus. But the larger community, which is going to be casual players, remember we're on mobile and we're going to have a larger casual player base than we have high-end player base. They're going to feel the opposite. And they're going to feel like, I mean, we already have one comment coming through saying, I disagree with that statement regarding casual players. Obviously, these are opinions, right? And there's no wrong side, whether you're top tier player, a casual player. Both of the opinions are probably going to be different, but they're also going to be valid. And I agree that our casual players, our adventurers, need something to, it can't just be you get nothing. You're a casual player, you get absolutely nothing, no buffs. You want them to be able to feel like they are getting something that's going to be able to enhance their PvE experience, as you mentioned. But you also don't want it to make the high-end players feel like they're getting gypped out of something, right? They shouldn't feel like, man, these casual players are getting more stuff than us, and we're the ones spending 100 hours inside of the game a week. That's a lot of time. So maybe I'm exaggerating. 100 hours inside of the game, and we're getting less benefits than someone that's playing for a half hour a day. So again, balancing out what people can get, making each of the different types of playing, the Immortals, the Shadows, and the Adventures, have something enticing about being that. And depending on what type of player you are, you're going to kind of flock to what is more enticing to you, the different opportunities, the different options that each one of those is going to give. And you don't want Immortals dropping out of Immortals to be adventurers to get some scoria and then going back to the Immortals again. You don't want that mechanic to happen. While the Shadows, they're just stuck and they can't get the benefits of either, or they're only really stuck there as the Shadows. So again, it's going to be a different opinion based on who you ask and what type of player they are.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. It really is, and that's what's good about Immortal. To be honest with you, is the amount of I say flavors that it has. Right, it really is. Like, I talked to a lot of different people in the community who've gotten the game, and some of them are hardcore like us, but a lot of them aren't. Like, a lot of them are just like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I saw the Shadows. Yeah, I looked at the lottery, but I'm more interested in doing Elder Rifts and running around and doing challenge rifts and things like that, because that's what I've been doing. Like, to them, that's more like home. So it really depends. I think we might be in our own little circle. Sometimes I think that, we need to look at a high level picture, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now we have Soul Collector coming in with a donation. Much love. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. He says, hello, nice to see you guys again. Still don't have the game. Trying to avoid game flaws now. I don't have whatever. He says he hopes to get the alpha access soon. I think there's a lot of people in that same boat trying to get that alpha access, doing everything that they can to get on in. I mean, I feel like that's going to be slowing down soon. Although I did see maybe 2 days ago someone getting the email inviting them to I saw it on Twitter. It wasn't a personal friend or anything, but someone did gain that access. So access is still being given out by Blizzard for Diablo Immortal, which leads me to believe that maybe it's not actually going to be going away sometime soon. Remember, Nemo and I predicted mid-June, I think it was, during our last episode of the podcast. We also have Alan coming in saying he agrees, or they agree, that the Shadows and Immortals should still have access to the scoria somehow, but he's saying maybe in a different way. And that's our casual player right there, saying that even though they're going to play casually, they just want to be that adventurer. They still think that other people that are playing at the higher level should not be, gypped out or losing anything from that. Nemo, any other questions that it's okay, Soul Collector, no worries, man. Is there any other questions or something that I may have missed? I'm trying to scroll through and talk at the same time, and that could be difficult.
There's a few questions, but I have a question for you. So let me just jump back a little bit. You said that somebody just got access to Immortal, right? And in fact, I heard someone saying that they still are waiting for access. Like, they want access, but apparently they still haven't gotten their way in. We're in June. But how How long are we gonna? So the idea here is to test the cycle of strife. I mean, maybe we obviously are still testing. Maybe we need to turn it one more time or whatever. I know the Australian server has been doing a lot of work as well, but at the end of the day, right? When do you think Immortal is really going to be going away? Because we are in June. We've tested it. I mean, maybe what another. I mean, how much longer do we need to actually even turn the cycle again? When do you think Immortal is going to be going away? Because I thought June, and we're in June, and people are still getting access now. So it's not like they're going to cut it next week, right? They're going to at least allow them some time to play. So it's a
I,
tough one.
I think the question is, why does access need to go away? Right? Can Blizzard still work on and improve this game and build this game while the closed alpha is here? Like, do they actually need to take it back and not let people play anymore? Or could they completely leave alpha out, turn alpha into a beta, invite more people in, open it up to more servers, and then when the game is ready to go live, basically wipe everything, because it's already been confirmed that everything will be wiped inside of the game, and then we all start out fresh. Now we have Ice Cold in the chat, welcome, saying, do you think that it's going to end after this battle pass, which is 27 days, basically the start of July or something like that? But in my opinion, battle pass shouldn't matter, right? Like they don't need to test a battle pass mechanic. And really the reason why they keep things on is because they're testing mechanics of the game. The battle pass turning to a new battle pass doesn't seem like anything that's crazy complex, and they've already seen it turn one time already in this closed alpha. So I don't think, I mean, could they have that set in their minds that when that ends, it's over? Totally. But I think the bigger question is, do they actually need to pull access? How does that benefit them, besides maybe feeling like players are getting worn out on the game, knowing that we're going to lose all of our progress? So do we want to keep these players playing for months on months on months, grinding, to then just take it away and say, here you go, the game is out now, you have to start fresh?
It's a tough one. On the other side, too, when they're doing the testing, right, you need to give them time to basically implement all of the changes and reset it, right? You need to like refresh at some point, especially like in the early stages, like what alpha is. I know like the game feels polished and it feels great, and a lot of times when you're playing it or you're watching other people play, you're like, what's going on? Well, the game wasn't, it should be out, right? A lot of people are saying like, what, it looks good, we should get the game. But on the back end, because it's alpha, because there's a lot of those things that still need to be tested and maybe need to be changed. And unfortunately, sometimes, and I asked this question a few times actually, because I was wondering if it's going to get wiped. And yes, all of my good 5-star gems and my beautiful charm is going to get wiped. It's going to go away. But it's just a needed step in order to make it to the next one. My question is, I wonder what the next one is going to be. Is it going to be alpha again, or are we going to go into a beta? And like you said, the beta, could it be a beta, or is it going to be one of those rolling ones that goes just into a global release once things are, kind of patched up and fixed to a sense where they won't have to, hit the wipe, so to speak?
I mean, I think we're going to be going into a beta next. Someone asked earlier in the chat, I never got to the question asking about the Necromancer. Have we heard anything more about that or anything? And the answer to that question, if you're still here, is no. We haven't heard anything more about the Necro, except for that we're all anticipating that's going to be part of the next beta, alpha, like we said, call it what you will. I think we're going to have a beta. What I honestly think is we're going to get a closed beta. It's going to be here for a month or two, as I think this is. Then I think it's going to go away. And then I think we're going to have the drop of the game, October, November. That's my prediction. Again, they're soft predictions. I honestly don't think Blizzard is going to keep this closed alpha here and then roll it into a closed beta with the Necromancer and the new stages. I don't think that's going to happen. But, I mean, I pose the question, why wouldn't that happen? Could they do that? But, I mean, I think another issue that they may come upon is they want us to test the end game mechanics of the game, right? To do that, you have to spend X amount of time playing the game to get to those end game mechanics, unless if they do something for the test build to speed that up so that we can get there more quickly. So if they want to test end game and they want to test all of these systems that they've built, maybe they would want to just drop the Necromancer. Maybe they would just want to drop the final stages so that we can just jump in and test it now. Because, the new stage that's coming, we're going to have to grind through the entire game to get to that new stage. in a closed beta that could be coming or something like that. So in some ways, it could be beneficial for them to just give it to us when it's ready now, never take away alpha, so we can maintain the ranks that we have, so we can instantly test it rather than having to wait 15 or so hours of gameplay to grind through everything that we've grinded through already to get there. For me, I personally, I don't care. I think there's both sides of it here. How long do you want your players playing, grinding something that's going to be taken away? It would probably be a smart move, depending on what they have completed right now, to just update the build with all the players they have currently, add more players to it to test the server strength, and put in the Necromancer if it's ready, put in the new stage, because then like today, we could have a ton of people testing out the new stage, making sure there's no bugs, nothing's broken there. And that's really not as difficult as, you know, testing out a new mechanic inside of the game. It's literally just a new stage. So run through that, test that out, and get everyone testing out the Necromancer. Although you will have to test the Necromancer on a new account, which you would then have to start fresh. So really what you'd have for me is I'd be doing my Crusader, be testing out the new stage, and at the same time, I'd be starting out my Necromancer and pushing that to see how that all works out. So, I don't know. I kind of rambled on with a whole bunch of ideas all mushed together. I do think Blizzard is going to take this away and then give us another drop of closed beta with the Necromancer and the final stage. And then I think they're going to take that away and then give us the final game. I think that's going to be the progress and the whole plan of action. Just my thought. And I was just kind of rambling as to why it may be a better idea if they just kind of roll it into it, just for that, taking the grind out of it. What are your thoughts on that, Nemo, now that I've just taken 5 minutes of the show and rambled?
No, I love it. I want to. So the next one is going to be a full game, right? We're going to get all the way to the last level. So there's not going to be any need for catch-up mechanics or any adjustments, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I want the full experience. Like right now, there's a lot of adjustments and things. So I can't really fully gauge a lot of the game. So I kind of want to see that. And of course, I want to see what happens with the Necro and all of that. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, to me, I like doing the testing. I like redoing it and retesting things. Like I noticed there's a big difference between the Wizard from the last one and this one. There's a lot of different changes that happen between these tests that are meaningful. And I like it. So far, being part of the alpha testing is really exciting from stage to stage. I don't know what the next one is going to be. It's a tough question. There's a couple of other questions that people have that are actually close to this one. Let me ask you this, Echo. So catch-up mechanics, because we're talking about new players and casuals and whatever else. Some people are complaining about catch-up mechanics and saying that, well, what's going to end up happening if we have, let's say, a Dread or an Echo hack grinding the game for 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 years, you're getting to like a really high power level, and then you have someone new coming into the game and just dropping in at first, they're going to have a long time to try to catch up to someone, right? So they're saying that some people are complaining, saying that there is no way to do the catch-up mechanics, especially in PvP. How is that whole thing going to work? What do you think about all that? You have any thoughts on that one?
I do have some thoughts, and I'm gonna do my thoughts here comparing the two other games, okay? So games like Clash of Clans, let's say, totally different game. There are not different servers all over. Everyone is together. The catch-up mechanics that Clash of Clans has done over the 10 years, because you have people that have been playing forever, like myself, like you, Nemo, and then we have new players coming in. How do they catch up? Rewards, faster progression, things like that happen as a new Town Hall level comes out every year and a half. It becomes easier for people to get up to that level, so things happen more quickly. That is not relevant here, though, in Diablo Immortal, because we don't have the entire world playing together. The way that this works is more like the kingdom builder games that we've been playing, such as Infinity Kingdom, Rise of Kingdoms, State of Survival, where everything is server based. So for me, if I'm playing Rise of Kingdoms and I'm a brand new player, I'm not going to play on an old server, because on that old server, there's a few things that there could be problems with. One, everyone there is already so far ahead of you, as you were just mentioning, Nemo, that you're not going to be able to catch up, or it's going to take a long time. You're going to take quite a beating, or not be able to engage in some of the events you want to while you're catching up. That's one. And two, sometimes in these older servers, when there's no way out, you have dead players. Let's say we start with 10,000, just for an easy number, 10,000 players in server number 1. 3 years down the line, I can guarantee you that 10,000 players will not be playing the game, at least on that server. They may have started new accounts on different servers, so you're going to run into the problem of servers eventually dying out because players stop playing, players find other games, players get frustrated with the game, players move with their friends to a new server because, you know, servers die in games like this, or in games that are built on servers, and people start out on new servers, which is another problem as well, because if I spend a year building up the best Crusader perfect build over here with the best charms like Nemo has in his wizard, perfect skills, everything is upgraded, I have all the gems I want, I am not going to want to get rid of that character. So that is actually one of the biggest problems that I see in any game that's server based, is not having a way to transfer out of the server. Nemo, I think there needs to be a method to take your character and move to another server. Obviously, there need to be restrictions, time restrictions, not being able to take something that's been grinded for a year, going to a new server until maybe 3 or 4 months of age of that server, so you can't go in and dominate new players. But how would you feel, Nemo, if you grinded your wizard for 1 year? You're in server number 1, you put all of your effort, all of your time, 1,000 or so plus hours, thousands of hours into this wizard. Your wizard is perfect. You want to participate in endgame activities in that server with the wizard, but the server starts to kind of fall apart. And maybe there was some governmental issue where we talk about people, when it's all about immortals and being a government type thing, maybe things kind of died out there, and you have this wizard, but you can't use it to its fullest potential because the server is no longer allowing it. But you can't go anywhere. All you can do with your wizard at that point in time is PvE stuff, and you want to participate in PvP. Do you see that as a problem?
I do see that as a problem. Actually, I didn't really think about that. I wonder what would happen. I wonder, well, I guess I wonder how many servers there are going to be and what the turnover rate is. Like, if someone gets out, like, will their account get removed? If it's stale, if somebody doesn't play, and if that's the case, will that's a good question. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah, well,
a whole new subject.
Yeah, what's being done in many kingdom builders is you are able to move to any server you want. You can teleport out of servers, but it's going to cost you in-game stuff, which at the end of the day, this in-game teleporting stuff you can get much easier from paying, right? So you could spend money, and you then can move to any server you want as long as you meet certain requirements. Many of these requirements are you can't go to a server until that server is 90 days old. That's going to give opportunities for all the new players in that server to get some serious time into the game, so you don't go in there with your wizard and you're not the strongest person inside of that server. There could be any requirements. I mean, you could make it 6 months. You can make it a year that you're stuck in your server. A year's a little long, but as long as you can get your character out, because you're going to be spending money to grind your character, you're going to be spending time to grind your character. If something goes wrong in your server and your character is stuck, you're forced to start a new character on a new server and ditch the character that you have on that first server. So I see this as a problem in any game that's server based. Being trapped inside of a game with a server that has a potential of possibly over time dying is going to be a problem. So we need to find a way out. I wasn't even planning on talking about this one today, but it is something that I think is important. Now, a game like Clash of Clans, where there's just everyone is in the same world, that's not an issue because everyone is in that same world. There's no dying server. The only reason that you lose your money or that you can't play the Clash of Clans anymore is if Clash of Clans close their doors and closes the game, which isn't happening. So finding a way out so that you don't waste your wizard grind, so you don't waste your money. Here's my question to turn off this topic because I'm rambling yet again. Nemo, let's say you spent, I don't know, battle passes that you've used, maybe buying some in-game stuff. Let's say in a year you spent $300, right? Which I don't think it's a ton of money to spend in a game that you play and have a lot of fun playing. It's your main game. You spend $300 on your wizard, and your server is a place that you don't want to be anymore. Would you spend $50 to teleport to a new server just to keep that wizard? Or would you feel like you were being ripped off, and would you say, I'm not paying that money, I'm going to start over in a new server? What would you do?
Oh, $50, huh? Does it have to be 50? Could it be a little less?
Let's make it $40, Nemo. I don't know. I mean, my point is, would you be willing to pay to maintain the grind? I mean, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. In fact, this happens all the time in WoW and a bunch of other games, right? So
Mhm.
you can. There's a bunch of variety of different ways of that. But I absolutely would if I grinded that, and in fact in Immortal, like I'm grinding my wizard right now for what, a month, right? And I'm like, it hurts my heart when this is gonna get wiped. My charm and all the rest of my 5-star gems and all that good stuff. There's no way I want to lose that, especially if I put real money into it. So I definitely would pay the transfer for sure.
Yeah, now we have Echo Hack in the chat saying that really they're just making servers, or he says he's pretty sure he remembers hearing them say that they're planning on a low number of servers, really just based on regions. So now that's a different story. If there's one server for North America and there's one server for Asia, and like let's say Diablo Immortal has a total of 10 servers across the world, and that's really it, then we don't have to worry as much about pulling our characters out to go to new servers. If it's only because of regions based latency and better gameplay experiences because of, you know, the region that you're in. When these kingdom builders I'm talking about, there are new servers being created every day. There are hundreds, if not thousands of servers. So in that case, these servers will end up dying. But if Blizzard is planning on just having servers for regional reasons, for connection reasons, and being able to put an unlimited number of people inside of those servers, if there's no limit to it, then we don't have this problem at all. Then it's even better because we won't ever have to worry about leaving our server. We could stay there forever because essentially there's going to be thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. Now they did mention 20 to 50,000 people or something like that on a server. So if it does cap out at some number, you know, we could look into issues, but that'll be way down the line. You know, 50,000 people decide that they don't want to play anymore to kill a server is quite a bit, but I don't know. I hope that it is. I hope it is big like that. Yeah.
On the side note, if that's the case and they only have X amount of servers that are, you know, based on latency or whatever the case may be, right? So there's, let's say, like 2 servers in the United States or maybe 3 servers, you know, whatever, something like that. Think about the immortality exclusivity. That even goes up even more, right? If there's only 10 servers in the world, that means there's going to be only 50 people that can be the lieutenant and the immortal.
Oh,
Out of that, there's only 5,000 people that can be immortals.
yeah.
It's going to be a pretty exclusive club.
Well, that's see every issue brings up another issue right here, Nemo, and that's a really great point. If there are only 10 servers in the world, you're not looking at a lot of people that can experience that immortal side of the game. Interesting how when you put it that way. So, one issue fixed, another issue arises right there. Man, I don't even know how to tackle that one because that's a good video topic, Nemo. Maybe we'll go record that one later. What other questions have popped through? We're looking at the last few minutes of the show. If you guys have any more questions, make sure you send them through. I want to let you all know that we will be back next Sunday with another episode of the Immortal Podcast, and then we'll be off the following week because Nemo's going on a little escapade, so we won't have him here. So we're gonna give you guys a little break from having to listen to us on a Sunday. But Nemo, what other questions have we pulled in here?
There's some questions about monetization. A lot of people are asking how we feel about monetization now versus before, and if there's any changes. And I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah, I mean, I think with monetization, everyone was scared of legendary crests. First time around, legendary crest was the talk. I hear a lot less about legendary crests right now because I don't think that, I mean, obviously, gems are a grind inside of the game. Introduction of 5-star gems. If you saw my video the other day, I got the what was that one called? I got Seeping Bile, but I got another one, Nemo.
Phoenix of the Ashes.
Phoenix of the Ashes, Phoenix Ashes, which is one of supposedly the best, you know, cheating you from death essentially in the game. But this 5-star gem has 1 out of 5 stars, 2 out of 5, 3, 4, or 5. So it really is difficult for players to find themselves a gem that's a 5-star gem that has all 5 stars, because once you do get your gem and so for me, I got a 3-star Phoenix of the Ashes, which is amazing. It's actually better than the Phoenix of Ashes that Nemo has, and he spent more time inside of the game than I have. So literally I got that on luck. I was just doing a video. I decided that I wanted to run one Elder Rift with 3 legendary crests, and I got that, which is one of the best. Now, I could spend months upgrading this because you have to get more Phoenix of the Ashes and use 30 other gems to upgrade it. And then when I finally get it to max, I could run into a 5-star one. And then I'm going to have to, because you can't ignore it, a 5-star, a full 5-star gem. If I were to get that, I would have to grind that up too. So the grind is there. Legendary crests are, I mean, it's going to be endless amount of grind to get all of your 5-star gems, because you're going to want to outfit your entire hero with 5-star gems. All of them getting lucky enough to get 5 stars out of 5-star gems, and then grinding them all up. We're talking about a long road. Not to mention crests, which is like my least favorite grind inside of the game. I know Nemo says that he's very happy with the crest that he's rocking right now. I'm not as happy with mine. I haven't seen as much luck. But I mean, are there going to be pay to win elements, or are there going to be elements inside of the game where you can get more strength? Are legendary crests going to be able to get you better gems? Yeah, you're going to get more gems, but the question is, how is it going to impact other players? Is it going to really ruin the experience for other players inside of the game? I think the answer here is, in some game modes, yes. In some of the PvP game modes, you will have advantage having those gems, but that's a small portion of the game. Again, Nemo, that's with a small player base of the game as well, that are going to actually be, feeling the difficulty from that, being beaten down from that. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna stick to the same opinion that I've had before about this. Diablo Immortal is not pay to win. You're gonna need to upgrade your gear. You're gonna need to grind a bunch of stuff. It will make a difference on a complete higher end, which will affect a very small amount of folks. But in general, I really like the system that Immortal puts in. I mean, I know there's a PC versus mobile and all of that. We could talk about it for days, whether, it should be free to play or there should be monetization systems within a mobile game. But at the end of the day, there are monetization systems within a mobile game. And I really love the fact that Diablo Immortal is changing it and pushing it to a different field. Like, it is revolutionary the way this works. They are not pay to win. They're not like a bunch of other games. They do reward both sides, because it is really, it's a razor's edge to walk this line. It's tough. I don't want to take too much time because, well, I think we're actually at the end of the episode here, but I do want to say that overall, we'll talk about one of these days if you really want to. I'm in the same opinion as I was before. There's no change in the game, even though there are 5-star gems, which Echo explained are pretty hard to get and all that. I feel like the game is not pay to win.
At the end of the day, players that are going to be scared of it being pay to win are not the players that are going to be playing at the Immortal level, the top tier of the game. They're going to be more of the casual players, and at that level, it's not pay to win. I mean, it's not at all. What you're going to be doing is going in, grinding, organically finding things, not using legendary crests, getting really excited when you find a really good 2-star gem. I mean, you can really enjoy the game without getting a lot of this stuff that people are going to say or call pay to win. So I honestly think that whole element of the game is very balanced. Does Diablo Immortal have some things that gives us some concern that we think need to be fixed? Yeah, I think that it does. But at the same time, they've done more stuff right with this game. We need to remember that we're looking at a game right now that is going to go down in the history books as one of the best mobile games, pushing mobile to the limit, giving us a full PC console experience. But on mobile, I mean, it's breaking boundaries, breaking records right here, and the game's not even out yet. So that's something, Nemo, that we need to really focus on, because we did kind of target this video on the negative, like what's wrong with Diablo Immortal. And it's worth us saying right now that this is my favorite game to play. That's on console, PC, mobile. This is my favorite game to play. This is going to be the game that I'm playing for years to come. And I think that Blizzard has done an amazing job putting this all together. Does some balancing need to happen here and there? Of course. But that's in any game. That's even in really crappy mobile games that are just, predatory pay-to-win games. Those games also have some good features, and they have some bad. Diablo Immortal is very heavy on the good, very light on the bad. And the cool thing about it all, Nemo, is that Blizzard cares. That's why we're going through these test alphas and betas, and that's why they're going to try and fix things to make it work for both them and for us, because again, it is a balance. It has to be able to work for them as a development company to support the game over time, and it's got to work for us as the players to not get so angry at the game that everyone quits. So it's a balance, and it's not easy to do, but I think I have my trust in Blizzard. I'm in love with the team over there and what they're trying to do. So I think we're in good hands. I think we have the best action RPG that we're going to see on mobile for some time. Now, there are going to be some big competitors coming to the scene, which will be exciting to watch as well, but I don't think anything's going to replace what Diablo Immortal's doing.
I 100% agree with you. What's great about, and you said it best. I'm not even going to repeat it. What's great about the team is they're complete, like they're just like us. They're big fans. They love Immortal, and they want to just make sure that you have the best experience. So I'm really excited about that, and I can't wait. I honestly can't wait for everyone to play. This is going to be the best mobile game. There's no better. It's going to be the best game. I can't. This is for me. I'm more excited about this than any other PC or Xbox game. I cannot wait to play this with everybody.
Yeah, and it's funny because Nemo's so excited to play with everybody, yet he's been playing by himself all along. And that says something about the community element of this. I honestly feel sad when I see people that I've seen in my comments. I mean, we have people, Kevin Fisher right now, in the comments saying that he's been trying to get this game. I see him in the comments on my channel all the time. I feel bad for people that don't get the alpha, right? I mean, it's just a luck thing. It's not like they're choosing favorites here and there, but I actually want everyone to play so that we can all play together and be involved in this whole thing together, because it really is being built as a social experience. We talked about how that social experience can get a little bit ugly if it becomes political, and we were talking about the Immortals and who becomes it. But at the end of the day, the social experience is going to be on point. We have a question: is it free to play? Yes. Diablo Immortal will be able to be downloaded and played endlessly, with no limits, by everyone in the world, as long as your phone or tablet is compatible, for 100% free. You could play this game, never spend $1, and have years of enjoyment doing PvP, doing Elder Rifts, doing challenge rifts, running through campaign, and whatever events are going to be coming up month after month, because as we already know, the Heliquary is going to be updated monthly with a new boss. There's so much to do inside of this game. More to do inside of Diablo Immortal than any other mobile game that's out right now. More to do in Diablo Immortal than any Diablo game that's ever been made to date. Diablo Immortal is like Diablo 3 plus a few games on top of it, all stacked together in one. It's pretty amazing stuff, and I can't wait for it to be global, which, again, we're predicting probably in the fall, early winter of this year. The latest, December 31st. Right, Nemo?
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Yeah, I'd say September, but we'll see.
September. I hope you're right, because we're in June. That's only a few months away. We still have to get the Necro. We still have to get the final zone, which I believe is going to be hell. If someone was, we had some hints. I think there was like a teleport somewhere saying to hell or something like that. We'll see. We'll see if it's actually going to be hell. If it is, it may be my favorite zone besides the Cavern of Echoes, which is my favorite dungeon, for obvious reasons. But Nemo, we're out of here, man. Last things you want to say to everybody that's here?
Thanks so much for being here. Like I said, I always have a blast hanging out with everyone on Sundays. I can't wait to see you guys next week. I'll be grinding my wizard and hopefully reporting some more information to you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you then.
Yeah, guys, and I want to say thank you all for coming through. We had some nice discussion here, both from players that know nothing about the game, asking questions, with some of the veterans. We had Echo Hack in here, we had Dread Scythe in here, players that have been playing forever. Really nice to see you guys come through, so thank you for that support. But we come at you guys every week with this podcast while we have the game in hands. We'll be back on next Sunday, and we're going to figure out what our main topic is going to be. But the best thing about this show, Nemo, it's driven by the community. That's why I love it. We come in with our few ideas to talk about. The rest is driven by you guys, so you can actually get that value. We need to start working on getting someone from Blizzard on this show. I think that should be our next task at hand, Nemo. Maybe when you're out on your escapade with nothing to do, you could start making some connections over there, you know, making some phone calls. It would be pretty cool to have someone on to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff. But for now, we're out of here. This is going to be a video on the channel in just about an hour. If you missed anything from the beginning, feel free to watch on through, share with your friends, and be a good community member here supporting Diablo Immortal. Links to everything are down below. Most importantly, Nemo's channel. Have a great day, guys, and be good.